Hello everyone, Sabrina here from Scrappy Tales Crafts. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am back with a Trifold pop-up tutorial, plus I made a bonus card using the same supplies as my first one. So I'm pulling in a lot of new products, including the A7 pop-up Trifold die, the Trifold window, the Trifold cabin, the trees and the deer, as well as the new deer silhouettes. And then I'm going to pull in our fall set. This is the A7 pop-up tree wraparound. I'm just going to be using that base die from this set. It coordinates perfectly with the new pop-up trifold die. And I'll use a couple images from the sleeping cat and dog set. I'll be using the garland, the candles, and the ornaments. And I will pull in the wreath and the garland from the new Christmas house trifold. Obviously, you don't need to use all of these to create something similar, but I pretty much used the entire Winterscape bundle and then a couple pieces from the house bundle. So I did want to show you that you can definitely mix and match the sets. And I'm also going to pull in this Stampin' Up! Snowfall embossing folder. I wanted to have a little bit of something in the background, but nothing too much. So I took a light gray Hero Arts ink and I inked up the embossing folder on the deboss side, so the flat side. And then I just ran a piece of gray paper through. I did cut this arch from the layering arch die from the main pop-up die set. And then you can see there that the raised parts will show as the original paper, which was a light gray. And then the ink that I added made the snow pop out because it's a little bit darker. It's hard to see because I picked an ink that's very similar to the cardstock I chose as my background, but you can see better with this example that the snowfall just pops a little bit more. I didn't want to go for stark white, but I also did want the snow to look like snow. So I thought darkening the background would help a little bit, but it's still very much tone on tone. It doesn't take away from all of my die cut pieces. So now we're going to move on to all of the paper piecing. I did do some paper piecing off camera. Basically anything that repeated, I didn't bother to show you guys that twice, but I will show you the window. I did create another window off camera the exact same way backwards. So basically I flipped everything the opposite way, so backwards, and glued all of the layering pieces backwards as well so that I can get the mirror reflected image to put onto the back side. So I plan to have this window on the front and also have the window parts cut out so you can see to the next part of the trifold. And so when you open up the window, then the back side is exposed. So I wanted there to be another window that I could put there. So that's why I did another one backwards off camera. But this window is gorgeous. Obviously, it works well with the trifold house, but I wanted to show that this would be a beautiful window kind of looking out into a winter scene. I cut the snow from white glitter and then the main window from craft. I very much kept with this kind of gingerbread color palette, and I've noticed with most of the cards I've created this year, I have really stuck to more monochromatic, like no more than 3 or 4 colors on a card. And I just think it's really classic. And I'll probably keep doing that in future videos. I do want to pull out my inks though. I do think that this would make a really pretty night scene with the trees and the deer, but I've been keeping it pretty simple because there's just so much detail in the dies themselves. So here is that window that I created off camera. You can see that it is backwards so that when I line these up back to back, the snow and everything lines up. And I'm using the back piece to figure out where to glue the garland at the top, the wreath, as well as the candles. I do want this to be a near perfect mirror image or reverse image, but of course nothing is perfect, but I'm trying my best to kind of line up my pieces as best as I can. So this is the garland and the wreath from the neighborhood house die. not the neighborhood, sorry, the Christmas house trifold die. I'm thinking of a much older set for some reason. And that garland is meant to go around the door of that trifold. However, unintentionally, it also lines up perfectly with this window. I cut the wreath from silver glitter and the bow from silver mirror. So I very much stuck to craft gray, silver, and white for both of my cards today. So at the bottom, on the base of the window, I am adding the white garland cut from the sleeping dog and cat set, as well as the candles. So again, I'm pulling in my backwards image so that I know roughly where to glue my candlesticks. And I just think this window is gorgeous. I think this card would have been really pretty also with vellum in between the two window layers. I opted for acetate because I did want you to clearly see what was on the next page of the trifold, but I think vellum would give you a really pretty frosty look, so that might be something I'll do in an upcoming video. So I do apologize this video is coming out so late. My internet has been giving me problems the last couple days. I'm not sure what's going on. But we are wrapping up our 12 or Countdown to Christmas 12 Days of Ornament card series. And if you missed that, you can catch all of the replays. They're under the live section of my channel. I opened up every single door of the calendar and I had a really great time making ornaments with you guys. So I do have some calendars left. I'm well stocked with the new release with the trifolds. So I will have everything linked down below. And yeah, I'm just really excited about this Christmas. I still haven't decorated my house, which I feel like everyone this year has decorated on November 1st, which is what I normally do. Um, but I've just been really busy in my craft room this year, and I've been having a lot of fun. And technically, these cards that I am creating are home decor pieces. I actually have these displayed on my bookshelf and also in my cabinet that has like a see-through window. So I will post those pictures. I plan to put a tea light in front of them so that they glow at night, and I can post that onto my Instagram page. So if you don't follow me on any social media, I have it all linked in the video description. I also have a Scrappy Tales fan group. So if you are looking for inspiration from other people or the design team, that is a great place to see everything. And there's a lot of interaction. I sometimes do contests and giveaways there. And it's also where you'll find most of the posts regarding when I go live. So I definitely suggest joining if you haven't yet. And then also, if you know anyone else who loves Scrappy Tales, you can invite them if you're already in the group. So now we're moving on to the trifold cabin, and I really love this image. It's probably one of my favorites from the new release, just because I feel like you can use it for summer cards as well, like summer camp type cards. It will pair perfectly with our new camping collection. And in fact, a lot of the trees from that release would work well with these trifolds that if I have time, I want to pull in some of the summer sets. I also think it'd be really cute to create an Airstream Christmas card with the trifolds, but I don't know yet if the RV is too big, but I'll have to see because I think that'd be really cute. And if it is too big, it might work with the second card design that I'm going to show you after this one. So the cabin I cut from craft, dark brown, white, and white glitter. Oh, I think I pulled in a little bit of a tannish color too. And as with all of our layering dies, there is engraving marks on the pieces so that you know what layers together. It's very easy. I also cut my deer from craft and dark brown. And then everything for the trees was cut from gray, silver, and white. So I like when I create treescape scenes, I like to have a variety of tone on tone colors. It really adds dimension to the background. And because the trees are so large, you don't need to add a whole lot. I'll also be utilizing the trees that are on that fall set, and those are really going to kind of help start the scene building because it's already a scene. So I'm really excited for the second card I'm going to show you. I wish, Taylor actually suggested creating the second card, and I wish I had known about it sooner, like I had thought of that idea, because it's another way to use the trifold sets and it's not quite as much work. So if you're looking for something that you can mass produce or create a bunch of them because these trifolds are a little bit more time consuming, the second option is really great. And it just gives you another use out of the die. So if you have any of our wraparound pop-ups, I think the trifold will work for any of them. And that's really exciting. And I didn't think of that as I was designing the sets, but it ends up, especially with the tree that you'll see in the second card, it works out perfectly. So you can see I made another cabin. Off camera, I'll also make another set of deer. Unfortunately, the deer did not make it to my second card, so I will most likely, hold on to them for another card design. I only end up using one of these deer, but they're really cute because they face each other. So they would actually be beautiful as the centerpiece of the trifold, the part that folds down. But I opted to go with the cabin. So the paper piecing for the deer, they have separate antlers, their snouts, and their hooves. Oh, there's also a layer for their little bellies. So I only used the 2 shades of brown for them. And then I'm going to pull in a white gel pen to create the little spots on their butts. And I'll use a fine liner to kind of bring out their faces. So if you guys want to suggest any other card tutorials, please let me know. I'll be posting more videos that just showcase 1 or 2 cards because these do take a long time. I mean, this video is 47 minutes long. And I do plan to do the house and the nativity for sure. But if you are looking for any other kind of videos regarding Christmas, just let me know. I'm also looking for ideas for the next collection. I have to start drawing. So I can't seem to come up with a theme, which never happens. I usually know exactly what I'm going to do, but the start of the new year is always challenging. All right, so now I'm going to add their little bellies, and then they are ready to go. I also cut out the sentiment from one of the deer sets. I don't remember which one it is, but it says sending warm winter wishes. Cut that from silver. I'm going to layer it up for dimension. And for my first card, I'm going to cut the sentiment so that it just says winter wishes. It's going to go below my window and the full sentiment didn't fit. So I opted to cut it down to winter wishes only. And then for my second card, I'll use the whole entire sentiment. So here is what I do when I cut a window through my trifolds. First, I want the background to be gray. Remember how I had the embossing folder? Well, this piece is larger than the layering arch. So I wasn't able to use that embossing folder with this sized arch, but I still want it to be gray to match the other ones. So I cut another base twice from gray. I cut off the little ends so that I can just layer these 2 gray pieces back to back onto a heavyweight white um, base. Now, obviously, if I would have had heavyweight gray, I would not have had to do this, but I do not. This is 65-pound gray. So I opted to add one to the front and to the back. And then I'm going to take the die that's in the trifold window set and line it up to cut through this base. Now I'm using the Anna Griffin Empress, and I was able to cut through almost all the way. You'll see that I did have to use my scissors to cut the little corners out entirely. So it definitely would be better if I would have just had a heavyweight light gray. But I do want to show you that we often have to improvise to get the look that we want. So I just lined up the die that will cut through to create all those little window panels. I have a magnetic plate, which is why I love the Empress. By the way, you can use Empress plates in your Gemini, and I highly suggest you replace your Gemini plates with the Empress plates. And because the magnet is amazing, there's no need to tape anything anymore. You can see that it did not cut all the way through the first time, so I'm going to carefully line it back up. That magnet is going to hold on to it, and I'll run it through again, and it still didn't quite cut all the way through. There's quite a few layers of cardstock here, one of them being a heavyweight. So I did my best to kind of pop out as much as I can, and then I'm going to take my scissors to just cut this literally one side, and it's very easy to cut along. Some of them I was able to pull off, and I don't care too much if it rips in the backside because I know my window is gonna layer on top. So I'm not um, too particular here. But I'm glad I went with the gray. It really matches everything else nicely. All right, so now we have the glue tab on the right side. I'm just reinforcing the score lines. And then the way that this attaches together is you should cut 3 base pieces. So I have 2 more that I cut from heavyweight white, and I want this to open left, right, center. So first I'm going to reinforce the score lines. I'm going to have the center one, connect to this window on the right side. So I'm going to add double-sided tape, and I'm going to glue this to the back side of the window. So this will be the inside part of the card. Now, the white tab does look bad, in my opinion. So I'm going to take that piece that we cut off the gray and kind of camouflage it. So I'm going to glue the gray part on top of the white. And you can still notice it, but it's not terrible. So, oh, especially because the window is going to be glued on top anyway. And then the third piece, I'm going to hide it behind the center trifold. There's several ways to put this together. You can have them both on the front versus one on the front and one on the back. I did it differently with all of my cards. And that's it. You have your 3 pieces glued together. Here's the gray that I was talking about. I'm just going to trim off the glue tab and glue it on top of the white. Now, there is a tab you can see to the left side of the window. It's your choice if you want to cut that off or not. If you saw our showcase video, we did a couple cards where we left it on and added magnets to the glue tab part. That way, when it wraps around close, you can have magnets on the back side of that right panel, or I guess the center panel, and the magnets will close that way. So I will do a tutorial showing the magnets in another video. For this one, I opted to cut it off. I prefer to cut it off because no matter what, really, these cards are meant to be displayed open. So the way you close it is up to you. It does fold flat and fit in an envelope with or without magnets. So for most of mine, I didn't bother. But I do know that some people really like a clean, perfectly shut card. So I will do a video tutorial showcasing the magnets. We do also sell magnets, and I'll have them linked below. All right, so for the backside window, for the one that I glued everything backwards on, I'm going to add acetate so that this looks like a glass window. So I closed the card. This is going to be the front of the card. I added my front side window with some glue. I'll open it back up to the left side trifold, and this is where my acetate window will be glued. I love the addition of the acetate. It really makes it look like glass. Like I said, vellum would give you a pretty frosted look. It is going to partially cover or like mute down whatever is going to be showcased on the right side trifold, but some people might want that, and I think that would be really pretty. All right, so now you can see most of that glue tab is getting covered with this backwards window. I thought about adding a snow hill at the bottom of this, but opted to just leave it alone. I think, this window is just so pretty. Nothing else was needed. I also, in my showcase video, showed an example where I did the window on the left and the right side, and that is really pretty as well. I think the window gives you so many options, and I want to do more add-ons for this trifold that incorporate a window of some kind. Maybe not like an actual window like this one, but something that does like a peekaboo type, see-through design. All right, so now our front side is almost finished. My camera did cut off when I added the winter wishes below the window, but I'll show you guys that when we get to it. So here I am cutting that glue tab off. Again, leave it on if you want to add magnets and have it wrap around to close the card. You can also do a belly band if you don't want to use magnets. I will say if you do want magnets, you need to use at least 3, depending, I guess, on the cardstock you're using. And I always suggest using heavyweight paper for your card bases. So on almost every card example my mom and I made, we needed 3 magnets. All right, so now I'm pulling in all of my embossed snowfall backgrounds. I'm going to add one to the remaining arches. And then here's where my camera cut off. So I did add the tree pop-up wraparound base piece on top. And then on top of that, I added just a simple gray tree and a deer silhouette that I cut from craft. And you'll see a lot more trees and deer later on. And there's that winter wishes that I just added to the bottom. Now we're going to open up the card and add the actual pop-up portion of the trifold. And this is just so cool. I know you guys loved this die, and I'm so excited. It's really exciting when my mom and I can come up with a pop-up that can work year-round. So there's definitely going to be more add-ons for these trifolds. And I'll definitely, if I can, try to bring out more wraparounds because the wraparounds and this trifold die work very well together. So I cut 2 of the pull down pieces. They have 3 slits on them. One of them I cut the glue tab off. This is just going to add some more weight to this piece. I'm just making it a little bit more sturdy. And then that top part will be my glue tab. I'm adding strong double-sided tape, and this can either wrap around the front or wrap around the back. It doesn't matter. In this case, I'm going to wrap it around the back so that you don't see it at all. But by the time you add all of your pop-up elements, you don't see it anyway. So it's totally up to you. You can see I'm lining it up to the back of the card, butting up the score line to the very bottom edge. And then that just folds up. That is all, that's basically it. It is so simple and so I don't know, it's just such a unique design and I love it. So now I'm going to add any background piece this is a good time to glue it before you start building your scene with the pop-up part. So I opted to go with this double set of trees that I cut from a darker gray cardstock. And these will look further back because I'm going to glue another pop-up tree frame on top. So the branchy trees are going to cover the solid ones that I just added. And I think it just adds some nice dimension to the scene. And you can do this with the various wraparound dies. They all have some sort of beautiful frame, or like the trellis would be pretty if you're making a spring design. Obviously, the haunted house could go in the back using the haunted house wraparound. There's just so many possibilities with older sets that we've brought out. In fact, a guest designer used that haunted house and made it a Christmas house in an upcoming card that you'll see later. All right, so then on the right side trifold, I'm adding another arched frame. I definitely plan to bring out more arched frame add-ons. I am highly considering of doing a birthday theme for our next collection. And I think this would lend itself beautifully for birthday cards. I think a cake in the middle of the pull down would be cool. And then maybe like a balloon type of frame that would replace these trees would be kind of fun. All right, and then I am going to add this branchy tree. This is from the Deer Silhouettes set. Cut it from silver glitter. I also wanted to see what it would look like with silver mirror. I'll use the silver mirror on my next card. I went with the silver glitter for this one. And then my cabin is going to go on the drop down part. I'm just going to add my branchy tree and then one of my deer to the right side. Now, if you don't have the window on the left side, I think, continuing the scene on the left with the opposite facing deer would be really cute. And my mom did that in one of her card designs. So that's why I ultimately went with the window so that it didn't look too much like hers. But she has a gorgeous all white and silver card as well. So if you haven't seen the showcase video, definitely go see that. We have at least 12 card designs in that, showcasing all these different dies that are a part of the new collection. And I will announce a winner of the showcase video in my next video. I have one already ready to go. So that video should be up pretty soon. Also, I'm not doing any triple or double layering here. It's already quite dimensional as is, so everything is just cut from with one layer of paper. All right, so the next part you need, the Trifold pop-up die set includes 3 bridges, 2 large ones or longer ones and 1 short one. So I cut all 3, and you can choose either side to glue up. I went with the like solid rectangle part, so the angled half is going to be sticking out like so. So let me show that again. I folded the center score line. I'm adding tape to the rectangle part. You can instead add tape to the angled part, and you'll see that in my next card. It doesn't matter. Either way, one of the sides you want to add glue, and then all you have to do is stick it through the slits, and it's going to attach to the back side. It's easier to actually add your glue to the angled slits. So I probably would suggest that, but I wanted to show that you can do it either way. All right, so then you can see once it's lined up, the score line is lined up with the bottom part of the slit, then you can just fold it down to make sure it's adhered. And then we'll do the same thing with the short slit or short piece. So these are like bridges, kind of similar to the bridges that we add on our staircase pop-up if you have that one. So I added double-sided tape and glue to the rectangle part. I'm going to stick that through the slit and wrap it around to the back. Again, if you added your glue to the angled pieces, it would be easier. Once it's lined up, you can just give it a push down, and that's it. Now you can glue your decorative elements onto those bridges. So I like to start from back to front, and you want to make sure that you're covering enough surface area to add a bridge behind. So in this case, I am picking out a double tree set. I think I go with this white one. And then I'm just kind of seeing how this will look. And I think that's pretty. So I'm going to add the double set of white trees. And then the Trifold pop-up die set includes a connector bridge. That is this piece here. All it is a rectangle with two glue tabs on the left and right side. I'm going to add strong double-sided tape to each of these glue tabs. And then you're going to fold the glue tabs facing down. You want to make sure these are facing down towards the bottom of your card. You don't want them upwards or left and right. You want both of them down. You're going to connect one side to your back element that is floating, and then connect the other side to the back wall. This will allow it to not fall forward when the trifold is upright. So here I'm trying to figure out where it's going to land on the back side. So for me, it's easier to do this while the card is standing up. And then that's it. So that is just keeping it upright so that it doesn't completely fall forward. So you're going to need a bridge for every layer that you add. So now I'm going to add another tree onto the second row. Now, if you look, there is not a tree behind this silver one that I can attach. So I'm going to have to add another tree back there. You're not going to end up really seeing it. It's just there to support this second one. Actually, okay, so I opted to add a tree next to this silver one. So that way this tree will connect to the double tree in the back. Hope I'm making sense. I feel like I over-explain things and end up making it sound harder than it is. But I have another bridge. This is exact same die that I used before. Adding strong double-sided tape to each of the glue tabs. I'm making sure the glue tabs are facing down, both of them. Going to add one side behind the gray tree that I just added, and then the other side is going to connect to that double set of trees. So here's a good angle. You can see how these bridges attach. And you can add these bridges as low or as high up as you want. I kind of go for the middle section so that, the top of the tree doesn't fall forward, or, it's a good stable area to add. All right, so now we just have the cabin. I'm going to add double-sided tape to the short bridge at the bottom, as well as some glue. And this is going to completely cover that. I love the cabin. It's so cute. All right, and then we need one more bridge to connect the cabin to the second row of trees. So just folding down the glue tabs, I will add strong double-sided tape to them, making sure the glue tabs are facing down and in the same direction. I don't have one going up and one going down. They are both pointing down. And then I'll add one glue tab to the center of the cabin, the back side of the cabin, and then I will stretch the bridge across to connect to the two trees in the center, and that is it. So now you can completely fold this up. Those bridges will allow everything to fall down perfectly into place and nothing is falling forward. So here it is when you open it up and you pull it down. Just look how gorgeous that is. I absolutely love this die. I cannot wait to make more add-ons for it. And just think of all the spooky cards you can make with that same tree arch in the background. You can do them black and do some ghosts. Oh, I'm so excited. All right, so now I created a bonus card that's very similar to the trifold. It's a nice like coordinating piece. And I wanted to show you that you can use this trifold die without necessarily making a trifold out of it. So you can still make a 5x7 pop-up pull-down card design that takes a lot less time and is really pretty. So I cut a base piece from heavyweight white. I'm going to cut off the glue tab. There's no need for the glue tab since we're not making a trifold. This is just going to be a regular 5x7 design. Or technically it's not a 5x7 because it's not quite 5 inches wide. Either way, it's going to fit in a 5x7 envelope. I added another snowfall layering gray piece on top. I opted to go with the double set of trees in the background. These were cut from silver mirror. And then I have another white branchy base piece that's going to layer on top. I just love that branch die. It's so simple, but it really helps build the scene. I'm adding a lot of glue here, I'm noticing. All right, I'll adhere that. And then I have my pull down pop-up pieces. And you can wrap this pull down around any card base. So if you have a rectangle, like a simple rectangle base, you can still glue the pull down pop-up behind any regular card base, which is really cool. All right, so I have one base piece. I kept one with the glue tab still on. I cut the other one. The second one is just going to add some stability, sturdiness to it. This will be pulled down a couple times, so I want to make sure that it's nice and heavyweight. I'm adding double-sided tape to the one that has the glue tab still attached to it, and then this will wrap around my tree piece to the back side. I'm lining up the score line to the very bottom part, bottom edge of the card. All right, and then I'll have my layering piece that will go on top. I am going to trim it just slightly so that it's easier to fold up. So you can see I'm just trimming a tiny bit off. And then I'll glue that right on top. All right, so now that we don't have the left and right side, you're gonna notice when I put this upright that the front is just gonna fall either forward or backward. In this case, backwards. So we will have to add more of those connecting bridges between each of the layers in order for this card to stand upright. So you'll see that once we get to it. So on the back side, I'm going to cover that glue tab with another base piece. So now this is a great area to add your message. All right, so again, it's going to fall backwards because it is top heavy. So we'll address that. First off, I want to finish off my background before I start building the pop-up scene. I cut another tree branch frame. I cut off the frame so I just have the trees. And I'm going to glue these gray ones on top of the white, slightly offset, so it looks like these branches have snow on them. All right, and then I'm going to use the same trees and the cabin. So basically the pull down pop-up is exactly the same. I think this card would have been cute again with the two facing deer, so it would have been slightly different, but it would have still matched well. All right, so now we're going to work from back to front again. I'm going to add these glue tabs into the slits, and this time I opted to add my double-sided tape to the angled rectangles. It's easier to slip them inside the slits. I just thought I would show both ways because I know some people probably will accidentally, add tape to the rectangle part. It's totally fine. It doesn't matter. All right. But you can see it's much easier to line these up inside the slits. So I'll stick it in and then fold it up so that it connects to the back side. I'll add the short one in the front. I do like to add liquid glue on top of the double-sided tape just if I have to shift it around. The glue gives me that option. All right, so now I'm picking out the trees that I want to add to the back. I wanted only one tree for some reason, so I cut the second tree off of this one. And I'm going to glue that to the right side of the back bridge. I kind of wish I went for white because there's already gray trees in the back, but it's fine. Most of this gets covered up anyway. I thought about adding this tree that I cut to the left side. I think I end up taking this off later, but there we go. Now I'm going to take a bridge. I keep saying everything is a bridge, but it really is. So you guys, I hope know what I'm saying. Um, yeah, I added double-sided tape and glue, going to center that behind my tree and then connect it to the back wall. Now, because it doesn't have the support of the left and right trifold, I will end up, I'll have to add more bridges than I did on my last card, which is totally fine. Okay, so I took off that small tree. I didn't see the purpose of it. It got covered by this next set of trees that I'm adding to the second row. I think these are white. And then I'll add the gray one that I cut off. I'll add that on top. So it's a little bit different, I guess. Now again, this second row has nothing to lean on from the first row. So I am going to pull in a tree that's just going to kind of act as a sacrifice tree in order to connect the second row to the first row. So I just went with a white one. I'll glue that behind. I'll add another bridge. I added double-sided tape to each of the glue tabs. I will glue one tab to the second row of trees to the back side, and then connect the other glue tab to the front side of the first row of trees, making sure that the glue tabs are facing down. That way, when this all folds up, those glue tabs will also be folding up the same way. Now here you can see I'm having a bit of trouble because I don't have the support of the trifold. So I'm going to have to add another bridge behind that that second tree that I added to the back row. So the more bridges you add connecting the elements, the less likely it's going to fall forward or backward on you. So you definitely want to add more bridges than you would with the trifold. Okay, and then our final layer will be the cabin. And then I need one more bridge to connect the cabin to the second row. Here's that silver branchy tree. I'm going to just add that to the right side. I did not need to add a bridge to this because it's so lightweight. It wasn't needed. All right, so here's my final bridge. I'm going to connect this to the back of the cabin and then to the front of the first row of trees. And that's it. So that's a fun way to create basically the same card, just have it be a regular card instead of a trifold. I wish I had thought of this sooner because I could have made a lot of these in a short amount of time. But I'm excited nonetheless that this is an option. And you don't even need that arched tree wraparound. You know, you can just use this with the arch that's in the trifold pop-up. So you technically don't need any extra dies to create this. So I will, because I didn't know about this until now, I do plan to create a die that will do this for you, that will completely cover the slits at the bottom. I mean, that looks a lot nicer. And I just did that by kind of tracing around a slit one to create the solid. So now I'm working on my sentiment. This sentiment is triple layered. I do want dimension on my sentiments. I think it looks really nice. And I'm going for the full sending warm winter wishes. And I'm adding it to the shadow die that's included. There are tons of sentiments in all of the new sets. I didn't bring out any stamps, so I wanted to make sure you had a wide variety of sentiments to choose from. And that's just going to go right there. I thought that was perfect to add the sentiment. And that way, this card looks pretty even when it's flat. And it perfectly fit across the center. I'm also going to add a couple silver glitter snowflakes, because why not? These snowflakes come with the snowman ornament from our new advent calendar. So I'm going to add 3. And then that finishes off both my cards today. Thank you so much for your patience. I know I'm a little late getting this video out, but these cards do take a bit of time. But I'm excited to create more for you. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. If you'd like to see photos of these cards, definitely follow me on Instagram. And here it is, upright. Isn't that nice? It doesn't fall forward because there's bridges in there. So here's some close-up photos. I'm going to now bring in the trifold version. Oh, that was my cat. Right at the very end, they make a mess. Anyway, I will see you in the next video. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!